As you may have heard, because Bishop Lamor Whitehead has been all over the news and all over the place, Bishop is now supposedly producing receipts for his accusation that YouTubers Larry Reid of Larry Reid Live and King Jives of the official King Jives set him up in the recent incident in his church where a disruptive visitor, in Bishop's opinion, was forcefully escorted out of the church by him during Sunday's service. However, Larry responds. Bishop Whitehead, the pastor who was robbed while live streaming a couple of months ago, was recently arrested for an incident that happened at his church. Bishop Whitehead manhandled a woman who was filming his service and bringing forth a prophetic word to the church, which sparked outrage from the bishop and caused him to forcefully escort her out and subsequently resulted in both of them being arrested. Bishop was eventually released without charges. The lady he manhandled was also arrested. So as the story goes, Bishop feels justified in his reaction to the incident and believes that the woman in question staged this incident and was sent by Larry Reid Live and King Jives because he has recently filed two $20 million lawsuits against both YouTubers. Well, Larry Reid went live on his platform today and interviewed the lady who showed up at the church that day to hopefully clear up any confusion in Bishop's head and the general public. Her name is Prophet Tarsha Howard, and she says she is an author working on a project and went to the church that Sunday morning for the purposes of the book project and case study research on the impact of charismatic leadership within the African American community. So the original story told online, in the news, and from Bishop Whitehead himself is changing drastically concerning the motive of this woman and why what happened happened. And to be fair, the story is also changing because her motives were assumed by the bishop and the general public, but on this interview, she makes many things more clear. So to begin, the lady's name is Tarsha Howard, and Larry and Tarsha make it clear that they do not know each other, nor does she know King Jives, and the pair did not send her to the bishop's church. Tarsha also denies that she was trespassing that day. She says she was allowed into the church after a temperature check as everyone else and was ushered in with a smile. Tarsha says while in the service, she was asked to come up to the front by the bishop and became overwhelmed and started speaking in her heavenly language, and as she passed by him, this is where he grabbed her and forced her out of the church. She says she is clueless as to why this happened to her and that he did choke her. Tarsha Howard says she did not go to the church to be disruptive or to confront Bishop's wife or child, and that she is a mother too who would never assault a child or a mother. She says she met Bishop's wife after following her tuning into one of her prayer platforms. She eventually met them in person at a conference and became aware of Bishop's real estate classes and attended in May of 2020. However, she left the real estate course after just 3 classes because Bishop was asking for the students' social security numbers and other identification, and she also said the material was very basic. Tarsha also mentioned that her first introduction with Bishop wasn't that positive because when she was introduced to him, the first thing he said to her was that her face was greasy. Tarsha confirms that she was arrested simultaneously with Bishop Whitehead, and as I stated before, he was released. But she was booked for trespassing and for disrupting a religious service or funeral. She has retained a lawyer and will not be speaking about this incident publicly again. She does not feel that she did anything wrong. Meanwhile, Bishop Whitehead has been speaking out and held a press conference at the police station where he was booked to complain about being what he calls illegally arrested. Here is a clip of the audio.
Some media bloggers that are trying to use what happened to me, the robbery, to get their following up, to get their content up. And when I was in church, I was preaching, and the 69th precinct, they have officers downstairs in front of my church to make sure that we don't get robbed anymore. The lady, I believe, I think her name now is Tarsha, I don't know her last name, and another young lady came into my church, and one of my ministers told them that you cannot record, you can't record. trying to make a scene. So I told them, let them record. They began recording, and she began to outburst and to cause a big disturbance in my church. So I said, come on over here. Now on the side is where I have people line up for prayer. So she came up over here, not to the pulpit. Everybody keeps saying that I invite her in the pulpit. You have to be a minister to be in the pulpit in my church. So she came on the side, and she began to yell at me. She began to cuss me out and say whatever she wanted to say. I let her say what she wanted to say, and I'm going to be posting more video because you guys didn't see the video inside of the church, so you'll be able to see everything. So she came over, she cussed me out, cursed me out, called me all type of names. I said, all right, me and my church started to pray. And I said, now you have to go. You have to get out. You have to go. What you guys don't see on camera is that she started to walk back to leave, and then she spit back around. And she came back after my wife and my daughter. So I have my wife and my daughter, who's 10 months old, sitting there, and she came and said, and now you're a liar, going towards my wife. And that's when you seen her walk in front of me, going at my wife and my daughter, and I grabbed her. Everybody's saying that I choked her. How can you choke somebody from behind? I don't understand it. I never wrapped my arms around her neck. I have no fingernails, so they say that I scratched her. I don't have any fingernails. I never have fingernails. You can see I don't have fingernails. So I grabbed her from behind, by her shirt, from behind, and by her shoulder. And I escorted her out. And I'm going to be posting this video. I'm going to post a video. And actually, if you look on the blogger, there are two bloggers, Larry Reid and King Jives. All right, these two bloggers, they're nobody, but they're trying to get publicity off of me. They were the ones that sent these people here. So once again, Bishop Whitehead was set up. We are coming off of the eve of me being robbed by three gunmen. Okay? That's the eve that we're coming off of. 3 gunmen came and robbed myself, my wife, and my church. And the gunmen put a gun in my 8-month-old baby's face. Okay? And that's the only thing that I can remember. This lady had a bag under her arm, and she was going after my wife. And I grabbed her. And I took her out. I pushed her out, and I have the video. And the police officers saw the video. All the police officers saw the video that was there. I spoke to Chief Badry. I spoke to Inspector Stevenson. I spoke to the captain, which is the inspector of this church, Amadullah. I spoke to him. He was at a wedding. I went through all of the chain of command to make sure that this lady was arrested. I went through all of the chain of command to make sure that they had the proper information to arrest this young lady. Both of them. Nobody arrested them. They told me that the detectives was coming. Okay? The detective came. Her name was Francois. And I'm filing a complaint against her. Because she was the one that gave the order to illegally arrest me. She didn't ask me no questions. She didn't ask the victim. She didn't ask my church no questions. She came on the scene. She had a conversation with the police officers, and she turned around and said, arrest her.
So there you go, folks. There are very different accounts of this event, and the full audio for both interviews can be found online if you are interested. I have tried to give this story a rest, but Bishop has single-handedly been blowing up these YouTube streets. Larry Reid also made a statement during his live show that he will be interviewing a family member of Bishop Whitehead's who claims Arthur Miller, the man Bishop says is his father and was killed by police, is not his father. Stay tuned. Bloopers. Tarsha Howard says, Bishop Whitehead, the pastor who was robbed while live streaming Bishop Whitehead, the pastor who was robbed while live streaming. Why can't I say that word?